Welcome to 100 Proof Radio with Jay Wesley, your weekly journey into examining your spirit choices and social etiquette in different settings. Do you know the written and unspoken rules about ordering and consuming alcohol during a night out on the town with your friends, at office holiday parties, or when hosting at home? Well, pour your favorite drink and get ready for an unfiltered, enlightening, and comfortable ride. Sip back and relax. And welcome to 100 Proof Radio with Jay Wesley.
Thank you all for tuning in to the 41st episode of 100 Proof at our new home of Rolling Out TV. Tonight's episode is all about cocktails and dating. How does alcohol impact the first date? Hashtag tipsy date. Does my sip spark your perception or change your perception of me on the first date? Does it matter what I'm drinking or how much I'm drinking or if I'm not drinking that can turn the other person off? What are the turn-offs of drinking on a first date and why do they even matter? Tonight at 9 p.m., we will have a healthy, mature, and fun dialogue with relationship specialists. To my right, we have my left, Miss Chanel. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
All right. And singles, although you're not single anymore, Mr. E. Cocktail Christopher Cornell.
What's going on? Man, you the man in these streets, Jay.
I'm trying to be. Guess I'm the only one single at the table. Are you single, Chanel?
I'm very single.
All right, excellent. So that's great. So we're going to talk about the ease of challenges of first dates when alcohol is involved on this 41st episode. The premise of this dialogue is to explore the power of alcohol in building chemistry on the dating scene. What role does alcohol play in relationship development? Since you are a relationship therapist here tonight, Miss Chanel, so this is a good segue. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, my name is Chanel Scott, and I am the creator of Comministry. Comministry is a celebrity relationship platform that I created to bridge the gap between purpose-driven men and women who desire to progressively move their love lives to the next level.
Interesting. So when you heard this conversation tonight, what were your thoughts?
My first thoughts was, okay, first of all, I don't drink, but I definitely have an opinion on the first date. Being a single woman here in Atlanta, I have an opinion on the alcohol.
Okay, excellent. And so my frat brother right here, Mr. E. Christopher Cornell, he's already popping off and have a lot to say about this conversation. He's bringing things, some of the best conversations go on off the air, and he's already brought multiple things to the table. So tell the people what you do first.
So what's going on, Jay? E. Christopher Cornell, aka Cocktails. I'm a professor in higher education, teaching public speaking. Also, I'm a spoken word artist, promoter, and presentation coach.
I like how you put that in the presentation coach. So when you heard this conversation, what were your thoughts?
Well, as a man dating in Atlanta for a while, I know that alcohol is a huge part of it, is a huge part of the culture. And for men, it becomes quite pricey to be out there gallivanting and courting various young women to get to know them through the venues of bars and clubs. So I prefer to keep it on a more coffee, tea, nice walk in the park. Let me get to know you first.
Look, Starbucks
Then I
costs
can
as much
trick
as a
off.
drink.
No, it doesn't.
Starbucks ain't cheap.
Well, if that's the case, then we just need to hit some happy hours because, I can still, I'll trick off $4 before I trick off 8 to 10 for a martini. And it got, what's that, minimum 2? So now I'm $20 in plus appetizer. So the bill comes, I'm $60 in. I look at it like, man, I could have paid my gas bill. But congratulations,
Yeah.
you got a free
See,
date.
this whole conversation can go in a completely different direction because nowadays men don't even like to date. So I hear him say, he he trick off, and the word trick
Right.
off. I need you to elaborate on that
It
word
ain't
trick
tricking.
off.
It ain't tricking if you got it.
It ain't tricking if you got
But
it.
we still got one more guest, and we're going to go to break, and we're going to come back to you, Jeff, and get your introduction and what you feel about this conversation. But right now, we want to thank our sponsors, Maker's Mark. If you don't know bourbon whiskey, you got to try Maker's Mark. And we have Charge and Go network stations, as you see right here. So we're going to turn it over to Cliff, our sponsor for the evening.
Target market. Customers get a conversation starter, you generate higher revenues. Founded in 2010, Charge and Go Networks has partnered with countless events for thousands of event attendees and their mobile devices. We understand the user experience and know how to engage an audience on behalf of clients. Charge and Go Networks has a special promotion for the listeners and viewers of the 100 Proof Radio Show with Jay Wesley. This month's special for the listeners and viewers of the show has a $600 value. You can choose from either 5 of our charging station Falcons, which include free artwork, free delivery, free setup and breakdown, and also we can also throw in 1 to 2 tables with table skirts and 6 bar stools, 3 for each table. Or you can go with our 2 Highboy charging tables, which includes free artwork as well, free delivery, free setup and breakdown, 6 bar stools, and 3 for each table, all for $250.
All right. Thank you so much, Cliff, for that introduction. So how long have you been in business?
Charge and Go Networks has been in business since 2010.
All right. Excellent. And what's some bars that you have your products in currently?
We have our charging stations in a few bars here in Atlanta, Marietta, and also the Sandy Springs area.
And what's your thoughts on this conversation tonight when you heard about it? What came to mind?
Well, definitely as the male of the relationship, the man of the relationship. Usually, you're going to have to take a dominant gesturing role when you're courting a lady, and usually the man does have to take on the first tab. However,
You have to trick it off.
no. That's just it's based off context.
Right.
It's the
Okay.
context.
Interesting concept because I want to get into, can a woman buy a man a drink at Hello? I walk into a bar. She see me at being 6'6", 240 pounds, as fine as I am.
If you don't say so yourself.
Right. And she wants to get my attention. Is it okay for her to buy me a drink, Jeff?
It's definitely okay for her to buy you a drink, and it happens more often than you would think.
So why do women think that they cannot buy a man a drink first? Particularly if she notices him and wants to capture his attention.
I would say a lot of it has to do with it's a cultural thing. It's cultural, particularly in our culture. We have carried some mores and folklore along with us through the ages that apparently no longer serve us, but we're still married to the form of them. And the establishment where I work is diverse, and I see a lot of differences depending upon, the culture or the ethnic background. There's some distinct differences that occur when it comes to bar behavior.
And Jeff, you've brought up some great points. I hope we have the time to get into to talk about, is it a black or white thing? Because I think I hear you saying that white women are more likely to buy a man a drink versus a black woman. But why don't you introduce yourself real quickly, and we'll get back into that.
Jeff Timms, hailing from Chicago, Illinois. I've been bartending.
My hometown.
Right.
What's up?
I've been bartending for almost 20 years, and been in the food and beverage industry, I should say, for almost 20 years, and seen a lot. Done nightclubs, done lounges, restaurants. Currently at a place called the Bureau Bar, and located 75 East 16th Street in Chicago, down in the South Loop. And I'm also the co-founder and promoter for Sunday's Affair. That we're probably half a year old, 6 months. No, actually, November 1 is when we started, and we do a Sunday day party there here in Chicago.
Interesting. And one thing, Jeff, I'm not sure if you realize this. I think you do, but you were a big-time model back in the day that swept the game where nobody else could get no work. So I was coming up after you. You were with my cousin, Cherie Tundala, as you may know her. And I tell you guys, I couldn't get no modeling work because between you and Ali Carter, y'all took all the modeling jobs. But nonetheless, let's get back to this conversation. So let's start with you. Do you prefer a tipsy date or a sober date? When I say tipsy, meaning to have a drink or two, is that okay to drink on the first date?
It's okay as long as you don't overdo it. I just recently went on a date with someone who he had a double Patron, and so I was like, okay, yeah, especially if he's driving, so that could definitely play a part. But I have no issues with the social dating as long as it's not overdone.
I can already tell that you're a non-drinker because you're counting drinks, because non-drinkers count drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one drink. That was a problem. Double.
Right. See, that's not right. So Jeff, I'm gonna come swing back to you as the bartender. What's your thought about a non-drinking person going out with a drinking person, and based on what she just said? Any comments on that?
Yeah, it's to each his own. I don't think that there's a rule that's all encompassing. I think it's up to the individual, because for a non-drinker is probably going to be more judgmental and critical of the situation than a drinker. A drinker is probably going to do it to kind of relax the mood, relax himself, and also drinks are props, and it also they act as props where you can kind of divert the attention, especially if it's the first date and there's nerves involved. Having a drink in your hand or sipping on it kind of alleviates that nervous energy, or it channels it someplace.
So Chris, what's your thoughts on this conversation? Is it okay to drink on the first date? And I'm going to switch it up for you just a little bit. You going out on a date with Chanel, no pun intended to your wife out there looking, watching.
I love my wife.
But let's say you go out with Chanel and she's a non-drinker. You are. Do you not drink because you know that she does not?
No, I drink to let her know we need to establish a baseline of we are individuals that are getting to know each other. To your point of being judgmental, hopefully she accepts me for who I am and for the things that come with me.
Depending on how many you have, because she's counting.
But even that, though.
That's the mindset that I'm looking, not so much to be judgmental or critical, but if this is the first date, and depending upon where you are in your dating life, I'm observing everything. From the time you walk through the door to the time you sit down, to the number of drinks, to how you eat your food, to whether you're smacking or not, whether you're communicating or not. I'm looking at your clothes.
You're watching to see if you have a pinky finger in the air as he hold up the glass.
Yeah. And his disposition, how he talks, everything.
Well, let's be real though. First dates are your best representative. So you're still not going to truly get to know me until I get to the family cookout or the barbecue. Then you'll truly see my alcohol consumption. If I'm on the first date with you, I'm saying, hey, this is nice, and it's nice to meet you, and I'm going to have a social drink. But if I really get it in and I really am comfortable with you, you have to know that this is a part of who I am, and this is what comes with the package. So I think that grown men understand that, I need to ease my way in. I just can't just bust out the closet like, this is me, accept it. But also you had to have a healthy expectation of our interaction if we're in a social setting.
Absolutely.
So Chris, let's switch it up just a little bit. What if you are going out with a woman who does drink, and she's drinking beer right out the bottle, or she's drinking bourbon, neat as we are tonight? Does that change your perception of her?
No, not at all. Again, I want the person that I'm dating to be as comfortable as possible in who they are. That's who I want to meet. So if that's who you are, then cool, let's do that. Let's shoot some pool. Let's watch the movie. I went out with a young lady one time and she pulled a bottle out of her bag at the movie. I was like, yes. I mess with you heavy because like I'll do the same thing, but it's the first date, so I don't want to seem like I was like that hood dude that bought liquor to the movie. But
Right.
since you did it, you broke the ice on both of our behalf,
Right.
and we had a great time. So I'm not saying that I want a young lady that's going to
Did
be
you marry
falling.
her?
Did I marry her?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Okay. All
But
right.
but again, that had nothing to do with her. That had nothing to do with her and her actions. That was everything to do with me and where I was. So again, even just if you're talking about that, where we are in our dating career, because when I was a younger man, I looked for the young ladies that would get drunker on the first date than I would look for the ladies that would be on some, oh, I'm fine, I just want to get to know you, be dating. No, I'm trying to like drink some Hennessy and
Right,
see what's
get
up
lit.
with you. Exactly.
Right.
Get lit. We're young. We're in Atlanta. Let's turn up.
Right.
So again, it all depends where you are in your maturity and your dating career when it comes to the drink and the first date.
So, Jeff, let's take this back to you. Where did judging and stereotypes come from based on someone's drink? As you've heard Chanel kind of say, she co-signed on it. She's watching if the pinky finger goes up. Women nowadays are watching if you're drinking sweet or fruity drinks as a man. A man is watching if she's drinking hard liquor straight or drinking beer at the bottle because the stereotype is she's less feminine. Where did these stereotypes come from? And do they only exist within one culture? Or is it across the board?
Well, so there are stereotypes all across, in the myriad, go between the cultures, but I think ours are specific to us, and I think all of our stereotypical actions and judgments and things like that, I always take everything back from, to church culturally or then to slavery. And it's like that's the root of all judgment. It's like, the resting place of judging. And we take that into every other aspect of our lives and really don't allow people to be who they are or accept them for who they are. Now, we want them to accept us as we are, but then we'll in turn not give them the same creds and opportunities for them to be themselves fully.
One of the things,
bags and
though,
all.
he was talking about, like how we look and judge. Honestly, when I look at someone like that example that I gave, I was thinking about his liver. Like, I was like, okay, is he going to die in the next 20, 30 years?
That's nice.
I was thinking like that. That's just me. Like,
Right.
You
know?
care.
I absolutely
Do
care.
you really care?
I really
No,
do
she don't care that much because he's not going to even get a second date
He's
with
not
her.
because he got a double
The
Patron.
double Patron guy got a second
He
date.
got a second date.
Okay.
He got a second date. It didn't. His behavior wasn't altered to the extent where I was turned off. But these are the things that I am considering. As you get older, you think about: is this person going to be around? Is he going to drink himself into oblivion? Is he an alcoholic? Do he have a problem?
And you think about that? And you think about that on the first date?
I thought about it.
So was he eating like fried
Yeah,
chicken
Jeff-
and macaroni
Jeff,
and
I'm
cheese
giving-
and
Jeff-
greens with a
I
double
thought
Patron?
about it.
Like,
Jeff, I'm giving her the side eye over here for you. I'm giving her the side eye.
I thought about it.
But you were rolling your eyes and turning your neck
I didn't
and
turn my
popping
neck.
your lips when I in my intro when I was talking about can a woman buy a man a drink at hello. So let's start there. Would you buy a man a drink that you notice? He doesn't even notice you in the room yet. You're sitting down at the bar. People have you covered, but you see him walk in the door. You find him attractive. You watch him carry himself. He seems to have all the traits and attributes of a man that you would want, but he still have not seen you yet for whatever reason. Would you buy him a drink?
Probably not.
Why
it has
not?
nothing to do with the social stereotypes.
Why
I'm just not
not?
going to approach a man. I'm just not. I don't approach men.
But that's part of a social stereotype. That in
I
and of
don't
itself
approach,
is a
but you
social
know what?
stereotype.
But for my own personal reasons, I don't approach men. I mean, just like a man, he doesn't want to be rejected. As a woman, we don't want to be rejected. We don't know if he has a girlfriend. We don't know what the situation is. And in Atlanta specifically,
But you don't know unless you ask.
but I don't want to know if he got one, and then I get my hopes all high, and then he say, "Well, I'm married or I got a girlfriend." Then that would just,
I
that would-
disagree.
yeah,
man.
Chris, what's your
I
thoughts on
disagree.
this?
Shoot your shot. That's the whole point.
Shoot your shot.
Yeah, shoot your shot. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason that we can't find somebody or find love is because if you see something, you desire it, why not shoot your shot? If it doesn't go well, okay. It's the law of averages. It's the law of percentages. Men do it every day. I'm gonna holler at 10. If I come away at least 50%, that's half. I'm good. And then out of that 50, if 30 work out, cool.
That shoot
But
your
I'll,
shot will get you in
but it took me 10 people to get to 3. So if
Right.
you looking and you're like, I don't know, then you sitting at home watching Netflix with your cat, like all pissed off, like I ain't got no man, ain't no good men out there. No, you did that to yourself because
Right.
you saw somebody and you chose not to pursue what you saw.
Right. And Jeff,
So what I
let's
typically do when I want to meet a man, I don't approach him and buy a drink, but I put myself in eyes view. So that way he can see me, and if he is interested, then he will come over. He doesn't have to buy me a drink personally. I'm cool. I just want him to come over and say hello. If he
But
wants
we're
to give me a
dumb.
cranberry juice,
Right.
that's cool.
We're dumb. We
But
don't pick
I
up on
want-
signals.
you see me looking at
So
you.
so Chanel, let's switch it up a little bit. And Jeff, we haven't forgotten about you out there. If a man is attempting to communicate with you, let's say that same man sees you because you put yourself in the eye's view.
Yes.
He sees you. He talks and says, "Hello,
Yes.
how are you? I'm Jay Wesley.
Absolutely.
I'm 6'6". I'm 240.
What's your name?"
It's nice to
I'm
meet
gonna
you.
say my name is Chanel.
So he continues to try to have more conversation with you, but he have not offered you a drink yet. Even though you're not a drinker, and let's pretend like whether you do or don't drink, does that limit the amount of time he has with you because he haven't offered you a drink yet and maximizing your time?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't see. I'm a little bit different. I take a man out on a date now. Like if it's someone that I'm interested in and we're spending time, I will take him on a date. I have no issue.
But you won't buy him a drink. I
I'm
don't
not gonna
get it.
buy him no drink.
But wait, you talking about first date? You'll take him out on the first date?
No, I won't take him. No, see, I need him to take me out on the first date because I need to know he's interested. Now, once I gauge his interest, then I have no issues taking him out on a date.
The
Can I propose
games we
something?
play.
Jay, can I propose something?
Propose it.
All right. So you don't drink, right?
No, I don't.
And that's okay. But you see him drinking.
Yes.
If you buy that man a bourbon or a whiskey or whatever, you have a great conversation and he decides that he wants to continue as a man,
Yes.
he will then take the lead, but he won't even know that you're in the vicinity, the perimeter, in the area or whatever if he never met you.
Okay, have you seen me, honey?
Look, I
I'm
just need to
6'1"
step on
and
back.
I have on 2-3 inch heels. He gonna see me.
Hey, you
Right.
like a Halle Berry Grace Jones up here. I feel
So-
you. Like when no one's missing you, but I'm saying, but everybody that you don't want to talk to is going to approach you, and the one you actually wanted to talk to, you did not approach.
So let's pause a little bit. Jeff, let's have you jump in here. What are your thoughts on the premise of a man that wants a woman's attention, maximizing her time, because I do see it at the bar all the time, but he has yet to buy her a drink. You have any thoughts? Is there any protocol you think that goes along with that if you're trying to rap to a female and you're not offering her a drink? Can you give the people some advice that's listening?
So I don't necessarily feel that it's all about the drink.
Okay.
I think it's more about the conversation. And I think the drink is the icing or the complementary component to the conversation or to, the meeting.
So I need to
Because if
stop
it's all
buying
about
drinks.
drink-
I'm wasting money.
You need to stop buying
Pretty
drinks.
much.
Well, no.
It don't take a
because-
drink to get some game in. Okay, I'm learning. Y'all
So-
teaching
so
me.
Here's my question. Well, then here's my question. Here's my question. Are we, is our intention or our motive to use the drink to get to, to the mate, or, are the two mutually exclusive?
For me, I always thought that it's a kind gesture that if I want your time and attention, I don't want to say I'm paying for it, but I just think that it's just a kind gesture to do. So let's switch this question around, and this is still for you, Jeff. If a man is trying to holler at a woman and he's not offering the drink, because I see it often happen where a woman is kind of saying, giving him the hand, like, get out my face. You know, you're not buying me a drink. Like, I'm not even trying to talk to you. So is she wrong for giving him the hand for not offering a drink after 2 minutes?
Yep.
Yes.
And tell us
I
why.
would say she's wrong. I would say she's wrong. Well, again, I'm going to say that this is a cultural thing more so than a universal thing.
Thank you for keeping it 100 on the 100 Proof Show.
Yeah. My experience over the 20 years, our African American women can be complex creatures when it comes to protocol, or what they deem as protocol, or
Tread lightly.
you know.
Yeah, you
certain things.
I was about to
Trust
say
me, they
backpedaling
will
like a
come.
mug. He is
They will come
backpedaling.
after you, but no, bro, I got your back. I got your back.
I'm
So
just saying from a service standpoint, me being the bartender and serving, most of my difficulty, and I don't know why, I really don't know why, seems like that would be the easiest because, you know,
comes from African American
You
women,
know,
and we've done this show, and I'm
yes.
still getting haterade from that. I want everyone out there to hear that, and we've done this show, and I'm still getting hate mail from it, as far as black women are the most difficult, or can be the most difficult customers in the bar setting. So we're getting ready to go to another commercial break. So if you're not sipping, you need to go grab a drink so that you can sip along with us and get some Maker's Mark. We're going to come back and have some more of this wonderful conversation in the Causing a Stir segment. So the Causing a Stir segment, you get to chime in, and we've said some good things here.
Incendiary.
So you can chime in, ask questions. We're going to be following on social media. But right now, we're going to go back to our sponsor. We want to thank Maker's Mark for the great Kentucky bourbon whiskey tonight. And we want to go to our Charge and Go stations, Mr. Cliff.
Hello again, everyone. Charge and Go Networks is a new wave company offering high-quality charging units. We are a leader in the mobile charging device service industry. We create innovative marketing solutions for clients looking to engage audiences and activate their brands. Our digital platforms use a mixture of targeted ads and entertainment to give you direct access to people that fit your target market. Customers get a conversation started, you generate higher revenues. Founded in 2010, Charge and Go Networks has partnered with countless events for thousands of event attendees and their mobile devices. We understand the user experience and know how to engage an audience on behalf of clients. Charge and Go Networks has a special promotion for the listeners and viewers of the 100 Proof Radio Show with Jay Wesley. This month's special for the listeners and viewers of the show has a $600 value. You can choose from either 5 of our charging station Falcons, which include free artwork, free delivery, free setup and breakdown. We can also throw in 1 to 2 tables, table skirts, and 6 bar stools for three for each table. Also, we can do our 2 highboard charging tables, which includes free artwork as well, free delivery, free setup, and breakdown. 6 bar stools and 3 for each table, all for $250.
All right, thank you for that wonderful commercial segment. And Cliff, tell us what you're thinking about this conversation as of right now from what you've been hearing.
Man, I'm trying to rock my soft padded shoes right now. I'm trying to tread lightly.
All right.
But no, this
Keep
is
it
a
100. That's what we
this
keep
is
it
a
100 here.
conversation that needs to happen, or it should happen. Keeping it 100, but there has. I think it has to be a mutual agreement. There are some cultural differences, but typically on the first date, I would say usually the gentleman has to be a traditional guy, but it should flow from from there on. But it has to be mutual between the two parties. I say probably 60-40, 60-40.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cliff, for the charging stations tonight. It came in handy, you all. I must tell you that when I came in today, my iPad was at 7%. And I would not have made it through the show if it wasn't for Cliff. So thank you so much, sir. And even our guest here, they came straight in. Chris is plugging in now. So if you own a bar, you need to have this at your bar for your guests. And as you can see on the screens here, maybe you can see it, you can customize it with logos, events, things of that nature. Chris, you do events, so you may need to get some of
We
these
specialize,
events that
Jay
you
Wesley,
do.
we specialize in outdoor events.
Oh, he spoke up real quick. They ain't talking about money, boy.
Well, you know, I do festivals, man. We need to talk.
All
Most
right.
definitely. And we're with Morehouse. We work closely with them, the Atlanta Hawks.
All right, what about Clark Atlanta? So again, homecoming, man. We out there.
Right.
We in these
Okay.
streets.
Definitely.
So we are in the midst of our Cause in this third segment. This is where you get to chime in and tell us what you think. So we're just going to do a guest list of who's in and watching. But before we do that, we want to tell you about next week's show. Next week's show is about cocktails and ladies. Do women position themselves at the bar for free drinks?
Hell yeah.
So we're not going to answer that right now. Tune in next week to let us know what you think. So I know the women, I know y'all going to come for me, but I love you all. I love my black women, but it is what it is. We keep it 100 on 100 Proof Show. Once again, we are in the Cause in this third segment. We want to say what's up to Floyd Wilson, Rhonda Felder, Robert Ransom. All right. And if you're not watching yet, be sure to chime in. Let us know you're out there watching. Give us your questions, your comments. So let's go back to the conversation at hand. Does drinking, and you're Chanel, you're not the one to ask this question to. Chris, can drinking make dating a little bit easier?
When you say dating easier, in what context?
It's the first date. We're talking about first dates. You're sweating, you got the sweaty palms, you're nervous, you don't know what to say or do. Can alcohol help to relieve some of that stress, that pressure, and help you just be yourself?
No, if you're in that state where you're that sweaty and nervous and palms and all that, that means you're probably going to overindulge because you're going to use it as a crutch versus a social, as my man said, a prop or just a conversation piece, an icebreaker. So if you feel that nervous, then honestly what you need to do is really just calm down, have some meditation and some self-talk, because alcohol will actually make it worse.
So, Jeff, I want to bring that question to you. What are the benefits of drinking on a first date?
Oh, the benefits. It does knock off the edge. Again, it's a prop. As they say, that the obvious conversation piece or the apparent conversation piece, but it's not necessary. But it can be helpful for a myriad of reasons. Most people. Well, I speak for myself. I drink because I enjoy whatever beverage it is I'm consuming. And that's the purpose. And I do it socially because it pairs well with great conversation and fun. Again, doing everything in moderation, responsibly, all of that comes into consideration. It comes into play, but it clearly has its place because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So,
Right.
people are buying into it
Exactly.
conceptually and all.
So we're still in the midst of our Calls in this third segment. This is where you get to chime in and tell us what you think. We see Tamara McLaurin out there watching. Thank you for watching. My homie Gene Wyman from New Jersey is watching. And so, Jeff, I'm going to leave this question. Chanel scares me with some of these questions.
Okay, now.
So you know what? Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Let's ask you. do you think alcohol makes it more likely to become intimate on the first date?
You know what? The times that I've had alcohol, no, I don't think so. I'm very aware of what's going on. Like,
And take yourself out of it.
Okay, take
Let's just
myself
speak
out
of
of
it a little bit more generally. We're not
Okay.
talking about you right now.
So people may use it as an excuse to be intimate, but they know what they're doing. They're only doing what they wanted to do anyway. And you
Hey.
can say I've been drinking, but that's not really
I've been drinking.
the case.
Blame
You
it on the
did that-
alcohol.
Blame it on the alcohol. You did that because you wanted to do that. Absolutely.
Right. And so, Jeff, how would you answer that question as far as does drinking make it a little bit more easier to become intimate on the first date?
Yeah, I agree with her. It's more association than causation. And what I mean by that is alcohol consumption kind of takes away or knocks out your inhibitions. And so your desire may be you may want to sleep with this person already.
Mm-hmm.
Having the alcohol now takes away your inhibitions from keeping you from doing it. And so you're more apt to follow your gut.
So,
to
Chanel,
speak.
no, go ahead, Jeff. Finish that thought.
No,
Follow you good.
No. I was done talking, but I was just saying, like, the alcohol kind of knocks away the inhibitions, and you're just full steam ahead, without anything holding you back. The voice is saying you shouldn't do that. Your rational voice or whatever kind of quiets down, and you just go, shoot from the hip.
You just do what you want to do.
It's gonna be the Darth
Do what
Vader
you want to do.
Kermit.
You do what you want.
Shake your thing.
Oh.
So
do what
one
you
of our viewers is asking Chanel, since you were so concerned about his liver long term, if he throws up on you on the first date from drinking too much,
Hell
are you
no.
just as concerned to make sure he's cleaned up, get home safely, check on him the next day, buy him something to eat?
No, you said it's the first date, right?
Right, but their point is that, and it's a good point that
You
they're
care.
making.
So
You care is what they're saying.
So
You
let me
said you
say
care.
So let
So
me
do
ask
you
you
care
something.
enough if he vomits on you on the first date
No, it's the first date. So
that you're
I'm
gonna take care of him?
No, if he drinks to the point that he vomits, then that's a no. There's no date number 2. Period.
But we're not even talking about date number 2. We're talking about that same
No, I'm
night.
not gonna clean him up. I'm not gonna do anything. We're gonna part ways at that restaurant, and I will ensure that he gets a Lyft or Uber. But that's it for me.
Interesting, Chris. What do you think about what she just said?
I agree. I mean, I really always lean heavily on being a grown man. And, I think there are a few left. And so we talked about, we touched on it earlier, but a lot of these dudes are soft. So let's just start there. So they expect going into the date or the relationship for the woman to take care of them. So they are very reckless in their actions and expect for when they make a mess, the woman to clean it up. So yes, if a brother does that, yeah, run, sister. However, if you are actively involved in a relationship, and again, you know he drinks and he just has a night where he might have misjudged where he was, then you should absolutely take care of
I
that
will
brother.
absolutely take care of him and make sure he gets home safe. And I'll even ensure that
Well, hopefully, if we've been dating a while, you coming home with me.
I don't know. Now you vomiting all over the place.
Again,
I'll
that's
make
not the
sure you
first date,
tucked
though.
in.
Yeah. I mean, just so at the end of the day, fellas, first date, you always want to keep it in perspective and understand that you want her to meet you as the young lady. However, you still don't want to be so, and this is what I say, kowtowing to what you think she wants, that you completely are off base of who you are as a person. You're uncomfortable because you feel that that's who she wants you to be versus just who you are. If she doesn't accept you for who you are, keep pushing, brother.
So for those of you that just tuned in, we are in the 41st episode of Cocktails and Dating. And we are talking about how does alcohol impact the first date. And so we're in the midst of our Causing a Stir segment. This is where you get to chime in. We have 9 more minutes in this segment to go to Rolling Out's Facebook page and ask your questions or make your comments there. We have Rhonda Mills that's in. What's up, Rhonda? We have Jamise Evans. She say, ugh. If he vomits, there's definitely nothing afterwards. I'll put him in an Uber.
It's gonna stink and everything.
Nice to meet you, deuces, she says. So if you have more questions, you have more comments, be sure to tune in and chime in. And I think we've answered this question, but Jeff, someone is asking you to explain more about men drinking fruity drinks on a first date.
Don't do it.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I have no thought. It's up to the individual's preference. So it's not for me to say or to think or to judge. There we go, judging again about what somebody's palate is or desire is. It's, it's a cocktail. It's not rocket science. It's not, it's a cocktail. Some people have a...
So Jeff, I didn't mean to interrupt, but we said specific drinks. I don't know if you heard the specific drinks. Can you give them the specific drinks?
She gave apple martini,
Yeah.
Mai Tai.
Yeah.
Tequila Sunrise.
I'm talking about all of those.
Right.
I'm talking about all of those.
So ultimately, Jeff, if I hear you correctly, you're saying that women should not judge a man off of his character based on a sweet or fruity drink.
Absolutely not.
Strawberry daiquiri.
So what advice for those women that's out there doing it, Jeff, what would you tell them? What advice do you have for them?
How long you want to remain single?
So
Because here it is. Here's the crux of it. Everybody's got an idiosyncrasy. That's their idiosyncrasy. And then they want to project it onto someone else. And that's not fair. That's not fair to the other person. Who are you or am I to say, because as a bartender, I'm a modified therapist, pastor, confidant, friend. You become all of these things like the barber and the hairstylist. You become all of these things for these people in whatever situation or moment they need. And, there's always, we're always quick to look at what's apparent and what's right in front of us. And we fail to realize that there's always a backstory. There's always a backstory to why this person is at this point or this phase or this stage, in their evolution. So all I'm saying is remove the judgment. It takes away the sting and the power of it, and then it neutralizes everything. And then you can see the situation for what it is. You're on a first date, or you're on a second date, or you're dating and you're getting to know somebody, and this is just another part of who they are.
In a
So
2000s... No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, put away all of these labels and these things, and you might find out you won't be single too much longer.
But it's not about a label, though. See, the part that you're missing is that it's my life. I get to decide who I'm going to entertain, who I'm going to invest my time in. I get to decide whether I want to spend some time with someone who's getting sloppy drunk at the bar.
And so Chanel, I think that's credible. But right now where we're talking about women, because it's definitely true. Women are judging men based on their sexual orientation, based off a drink that they're having, or he puts his pinky finger up, or
See, you doing too much.
So Chanel,
a fruity drink.
Oh,
And
fruity
so
drink is
women,
one thing, pinky finger is another.
No, it's not. So Chanel,
it's not necessarily.
Say I was like, you know what, Chanel, this is a nice evening, and I'd really like to have a drink. Bartender, let me get a strawberry daiquiri with whipped cream and a cherry and a pineapple in it, and an umbrella.
I'd be like, that's what he like.
You're right, that's what he like.
That's what he like.
And you'll be good.
I'd be good. I
And
have no issues with it.
And I sit there and I take selfies with duck lips and have my pinky
Oh, no,
out.
I'd be
and
like, okay, there's a problem. There lies the problem. He's doing selfies with duck lips. Like, come on. Come on.
I'm being facetious, of course.
But no, this is all great conversation, and this is what 100 Proof is all about, to confirm and dispel myths about alcohol. And the only way we can do that is having mature dialogue about it. And a lot of people don't have or want to have these conversations. I've been ostracized from the bar community in some retrospects because of the conversations I have. What I say it's true. I have worked as a bartender over 20 years. I have owned my own bar. I used to own Boogaloo Lounge.
Oh.
I see all the things that we've talked about, even on this show alone. It happens. And I don't know if there's truth to it. If it's not, that's why we have the conversation. I see where I have a sister. She tells me if a man order a fruity drink, she's not going on a second date with him just because he ordered an apple martini or a Mai Tai or tequila sunrise or even a martini, not realizing martini is one of your strongest drinks out here.
See,
James
that's
Bond.
out of ignorance. Me personally, I don't know enough about alcohol. So if he ordered a daiquiri, I would be like, oh, he's drinking a daiquiri.
Right.
I would have no judgment.
People are looking at even the glassware, because the martini comes in the martini glass. Women look at it as feminine, and I'm with Jeff in the sense that it's more of our community that's passing on these stereotypes and judgments.
Now, keeping
we
it
have
real.
enough labels on us as black people that we don't need to add these minimum labels to us.
Preach.
It's just an extra thing that we have to get over, particularly as black men in our own community. We're harder and judgmental on ourselves. So
Now, keeping it real, I'll have a Cosmopolitan, but I'll tell them to pour it in a whiskey glass.
right. And my question is,
So they
why
think
does
it's
he
a,
have to do that?
Because
Right.
Oh, that's his
Right,
own
right.
cash.
But no, he's doing it to help
your
Chanel,
makeup.
Chris. Help Chanel
Why are you
understand
doing
why
that? That's your
you're
makeup.
asking for it to be poured in a rocks glass. Why?
Because if it was a dry martini or something with olives, then yes, I see that as, again, culturally, drink it. But if I have a Cosmopolitan with a sprig of lime in it, and I'm sitting there drinking it, then yeah, and it's my upbringing. I'm from Southside Houston, H-Town, Texas, all day. We were raised on whiskey straight, bourbon. Now, all the dark liquors you can think of, that's how we were raised. So even if your palate wants something different, just culturally, and you're with your people, they were like, bruh, what's wrong with you? So if I do a Cosmopolitan, then I put in a rocks glass, oh, vodka cranberry, and they're not tripping.
Right, so we are still in the midst of our Cause and the Stir segment. We're about to be closing out in 1 minute. So if you still have some comments, be sure to go to Rolling Out's Facebook page and type your questions there. We have Jamise Evans that says, for men, is it more attractive for a woman to stay sober during the first date or be buzzed? Chris answered that a little bit earlier and say be buzzed. I'm 40 years old. I say be a little buzzed. I don't want a sober date. We started off,
Be no buzz.
Jeff, do you prefer a sober date or a drinking date? Now, we're not talking about tipsy or drunk. We're just talking about drinking or non-drinking. Which date do you prefer?
I'm gonna always err on the side of the drinking date.
Right. So we have Gene Wyman from New Jersey says, if a date vomits on the first date, that signifies poor self-control on a first date. Drink to have fun, not to get sloppy drunk. Brian Moore says, if she vomits on the man is expected to make sure she is cleaned up.
That's real.
She gets home safe. She's well taken care of. Why is not reciprocated? That is an excellent point.
That
Chanel,
is
can you answer that
excellent.
question?
I think he should ensure that she gets home safely, just like I would ensure that he would get home safely. But if he doesn't want to talk to her anymore, then I would have no issue with that.
But he brought up some extra points,
What?
which is the man is expected
He is
to
expected as the
to
protector.
help get her cleaned up, get her something to eat in her stomach, and then make sure she gets home safely. Not only you, but other people chimed in and co-signed and said, just put them in the Uber and it's done.
Yeah, I just say just make sure.
But none of y'all mentioned, none of the women mentioned making sure he get cleaned up
because the cleanup, like,
and
it's a
make
fir-
sure he gets something to eat.
it's a first date though, so him
Right.
cleaning her up.
But a man is
on the
expected
first date,
to do it. So, but we're in the midst
that
of
might be borderline inappropriate on the first date.
we're in the midst of our PSA announcement. We're gonna still chime in for a little bit more of this conversation. So keep the comments coming.
Double
we have
standard.
Ken Whitehurst watching. That is a double standard, Chris. Jamise Evans. So we're going to come back to all of this, but we're in the midst of our public service announcement because we want you all to drink maturely and responsible.
When it comes to informative, educational, enlightening, and entertaining conversation about alcohol, ranging from pairs to safely enjoying alcohol to safe travels getting home, there's only one show you want to listen to. Make sure you tune into 100 Proof, compliments of cocktail conversations, Rolling Out magazine. Make sure to catch it on the Rolling Out magazine Facebook Live and YouTube platforms. Again, we want you to be informed, educated, enlightened, entertained, and most important, keep it 100 proof.
All right, Brian Moore, thank you for that PSA announcement. Again, always drink responsibly and maturely. That's what 100 Proof is all about. We are in the midst of our On Fire segment, but before we go into our On Fire segment, we just want to acknowledge a few more people out there. And we see you, Jamisa. She say, no, we got that one already. Can't Whitehurst. Jean says, I hate martini glasses, but love martinis.
Hey.
Again, black men have to disguise the drink that they like to make a woman feel more comfortable. And Chanel, you're saying you're okay with that?
I'm saying that that's their hang up. Like, I'm saying that you don't have to do that. So I can't really identify with that.
So how do we change the culture of women,
Be you.
specifically black women, who feel these stereotypes and feel that it's not masculine for a man to drink out of a martini glass? And it's vice versa too.
Yeah.
Men feel that women who drink bourbon neat or drink beer out of a bottle is less feminine.
I say be you. I say if a woman is going to determine whether she wants to date you or not based on the glass that you drink your alcohol from, then you probably don't want to date her anyway. That's a bit shallow to me.
So
Right.
can I challenge you on that?
Challenge me.
Because you're coming from a perspective of a person that doesn't drink, and
Absolutely.
you have willingly admitted that you're kind of ignorant to alcohol laws.
Yes.
So any young lady that drinks and sees a man with these certain types, and I see people nodding heads. They're like, "Nah, I don't know about this cat. Let me look closer. Let me check him out."
So we got people in the
Well,
studio
you
that
yourself said that we need to eliminate these cultural, stereotypes. You yourself said that, and I'm saying that I totally agree with you. I am ignorant. So that's just one more thing. I don't want to add. That's one more thing I got to
Yeah,
add. So
we
I don't- and I'm
need
saying
to
that-
eliminate it, but the
Right.
fact is it exists.
Right.
So if and Jeff said it earlier, if you want a healthy dating life and you want to be with young ladies and they want to see a strong male figure, you can't be a strong male figure drinking a fruity drink with
And
with
I'm saying
peppermints
that
and Jolly Ranchers.
Jeff, let me give you
Unless
just a
drink
little.
lean. The only way you can do that is drink lean.
Jeff, let me give you a little piece of this
Wait.
conversation. What's your thoughts on this?
Wait, because I have one. So, Chris, no, I do not agree with you on that wise, because again, Luther said a chair is still a chair. A room is still a room.
Okay.
A glass is still a glass, and a cocktail is still a cocktail. It's about the substance of the conversation
Absolutely.
and the chemistry of the interaction.
Absolutely.
I agree
agree.
with that. That was a
And-
good point,
and-
Jeff.
and-
Touche.
And wait. I want to go back to something that Chanel said. I totally agree with you that you get to choose. You do. You get to choose who and what you will, stand for, date. You teach people how to treat you. But the flip side of that is, you get to be who you are authentically, and you got to let the other people be who they are authentically, martini glass and all.
Right. So Chanel, how many drinks have I had so far tonight? You been counting?
No,
Okay,
I
good.
haven't.
Okay, good. She ain't been counting.
She has.
But we are in the midst of our On Fire segment, and Starbucks have offered to extend comprehensive healthcare benefits to transgender employees, covering procedures usually deemed as cosmetic, which we know what that means. So, Chris, any quick thoughts on that?
I mean, Starbucks is still trying to face racial issues, so I think it's just another PR tactic to make sure they're inclusive in their company offerings. So I applaud them in trying to be diverse in their cultural competency.
All right, and Jeff, any comments on that? We'll come back to you, Jeff. Chanel, any thoughts on that?
No thoughts.
All right, so that is the end of our On Fire segment. We are in the midst of our Hotspot segment. And this is where my frat brother, Mr. Christopher Cocktail Cornell, tell you what he has going on, as he is Atlanta's event extraordinaire, planner, you name it. So what's going on, Chris? What you got going on? Minding Your Own Business, June 27, 2018 at Cats Cafe. What's Minding Your Own Business? What's that all about?
Hey, so Atlanta, check it out. Just like we've been having candid conversations all evening about Jay Wesley and 100 Proof Radio and how he is stirring up topics that are relevant in our community. Minding Your Own Business is in that same vein, where we are taking entrepreneurs, people looking to transition in their career, or people that are just looking to empower themselves, talk about how you can find the true gems within yourself versus searching everywhere else and everybody that has opinions on what is hot. So make sure that you come out to Cats Cafe. I have Emmy-nominated writer John Good, HBO Deaf poet, and we will be literally giving a mastermind class along with poetry and storytelling about how to find your true passion, how to turn that passion into a revenue stream, and be entertained all in the same evening with some nice martinis at the bar. I might even get a Cosmopolitan and a martini glass. You never know. So log on goodconversations.eventbrite.com. That's goodconversations.eventbrite.com. No, man. It's what I do.
All right.
It's what I do.
Mr. MC Extraordinaire. So where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at E period. That is the letter E, the word period spelled out, EPERIOD. Also, I am on Snapchat, E period 75, EPERIOD 75. My life is a movie. Come play a part.
All right. And is there a cost for tomorrow's night event?
Tomorrow, early bird $10, and I'm telling you, it's very nominal because this show and class normally costs $149, but we are giving it to you for $10, and at the door it's $15, because we just want to give you the information. Again, you're talking about our people and how we need to break stereotypes and stigmatisms. We just want to empower our people. So come out for $15. You can literally make $15,000.
I will be there, so I hope to see you there. Beat me there. So see you all at Cats Cafe tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. We are in the midst of our international sip segment, and this is where we bring our sponsor back, and we want to thank Maker's Mark Bourbon Whiskey. I love it. I have enjoyed it. I'm sipping on it. Hopefully y'all not keeping count like Chanel.
She's worried about your liver, Jay. But what about your liver?
But if I throw up, she gonna kick me out, give me the boot.
But at 6'6", 240, she'll position herself to make sure that you don't fall. Unless it's ever so gently.
So, Cliff Buckner, we have you back. What's your final thoughts on hearing all this conversation? Any last thought you have on this conversation?
I think this discussion needs to happen a lot more. If you can definitely include it in more of your segments. Education is the key, from what I'm hearing there, and definitely a lot of stigmas, and definitely consider that 60-40 split.
Right, absolutely. So Chanel, and how can people find you, Cliff?
You can find me at Cliff at cellpower.us, but you can find our company at chargeandgonetworks.com. Once again, that's charge, the letter N, go networks.com.
All right, excellent. And Maker's Mark to the table. Thank you for the charge stations. We truly appreciate the charge, because I couldn't run the show without you tonight, without this charge. And so, Chanel, give us your final thoughts on this conversation tonight.
It's definitely been enlightening, and I really took that judgment comment to heart. So, I'll definitely try to be more open-minded going forward as a single woman,
Because like Jeff said, you don't want to end up being single and wondering why.
I don't want to end up being single and wondering why, but I'm still going to be concerned about his liver, absolutely.
Okay, but if he throw up, he gets the boot.
That's a no, absolutely not. So unattractive.
All right, so where can people find you at, Chanel?
You can find me on all social media platforms at Chanel Nicole Scott. That's CHANEL Nicole Scott.
All right. And Chris, do you have any final thoughts on this conversation?
Yeah, so even though we've had a great time tonight, I just really want to thank you, Jay, for, raising these issues in the community. And at the end of the day, fellas, men be men. Make sure that you protect our women, that you are keeping our women safe, that you are being the man and the head in the relationship while also being understanding of her needs. If she wants to drink, fine. If she doesn't, that's okay too. But never forget who you are and allow her to see that person to be transparent and vulnerable.
All right, excellent. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and watching the 41st episode of 100 Proof Radio Show as we talked about cocktails and dating. We want to thank Rolling Out for letting us be part of their new home. And be sure to follow us at Cocktail Chron, the number 1. Chron is short for Chronicles. And be sure to tune in next week for Cocktails and Ladies. Do women position themselves at the bar for free drinks?
Hell yeah.
As always, we keep it 100 here on 100 Proof, your leading source for beverage industry news. And I want to thank my sound engineer, C. Uno, who's not here tonight, for the wonderful music, and my executive producer, Rasan Robinson, sophomore at Clark Atlanta University.
CAU.
Absolutely. See you all next week.